What were some of those experiences that you had growing up in those traditional communities, but being half Mennonite and half Mexican?
It was tough sometimes, I think, because because they are very traditional campos, you were always looked at as an outsider.
Yeah.
You were always the little Maxa. Even if you were half of their culture, they would kind of still see you as an outcast.
Yeah.
For me, I feel like it was a little different.
Yeah.
I guess as a child, you don't realize. I think another big thing was because my mom was already a nurse. She had kind of stepped out of that traditional part.
Yeah.
That's why we were looked on, not just because we were half Mexican, also because of my mom and her work. She was like, I think she broke everything. Like, she was a single mom. She was working. She had studied.
Yeah.
So and she had married a Mexican, so it was like, okay. All of it was different.
Absolutely. All of those taboos kind of in one.
Basically.
Yeah. And growing up, you primarily spoke Plotich at home, or what was your language situation like at home?
Yes, but my mom and my dad, they had said that each one of them, they wanted to keep their own language.
Yeah. So
the time that my dad was alive, then he would speak Spanish to us, and my mom would speak Plotich to us. We learned both of the languages, and then in school we learned English.
Yeah, for sure. And so from the time that you were born, growing up is basically like a bilingual childhood.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Describe a little bit about how your parents met, and then what the reactions were from family members when they got together. And if those reactions changed over time.
You want to, or should I?
Well, they met at the hospital. My dad was working.
Dad was a doctor?
On his prácticas or servicio social, something like that. He was doing during those years, and my mom was too,
also,
right?
Yeah, but she as a nurse.
So they met at the hospital.
Yeah.
And my mom, she had been an outcast since she went to school already, so there wasn't much
more to break
that she could do.
What my dad always said, he always had in mind, he was like, I want a Mennonite. That's what my grandma tells us, that he admired the Mennonites a lot, and therefore he wanted a Mennonite wife. So there it's...
Well, they met and they dated for like 6 months.
Yeah.
And then they got married, and the family, they were
they disagreed so
disappointed,
much.
They didn't like that. But over time, I think they did change. Like, my mom had a really hard time when she went to study, and then it was the whole 9 yards, right? That she even married a Mexican and everything, and then after that, with time, my mom says it did change, right?
I know that when they wanted to get married, she introduced my dad and everything to her parents, and they didn't want to.
Yeah.
Then is when they decided, or they wanted to move and take her with.
Yeah.
But then it was kind of like, okay, now it's a little too late.
Yeah.
And they didn't allow them to get married among the Mennonites.
Yeah.
So then they had to get married in a Catholic church in Cuauhtemoc. Yeah. So, but even then, there were quite a few Mennonites that went to the wedding.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if because of curiosity, of support or something, but they ended up going.
Yeah.
And I guess people did accept them because in the end they moved to 67.
Yeah.
And they started, and everyone knew them as like the doctor couple or whatever. In that sense, I think they accepted them because basically all their clients were just Mennonites.